Good evening and welcome to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, where it's a beautiful evening for football, and we are headed into Week 9, the last regular season home event of our 15th anniversary season here at Wakaiva High School. My name is Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs and sports information director here at Wakaiva High School, joined by Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief, and we are getting started here a little bit late this evening because of our senior night festivities, but we now take you to midfield for the coin toss as we get ready to go. As we direct your attention to midfield for the coin toss, we want to welcome our officials for tonight's game from the Central Florida Officials Association here in Orlando. They are referee Nick Peterson, umpire Joseph Amundsen, linesman Edward Collier, line judge Isaac Gooden, and electronic clock operator McKinney Griffin. We thank them for their dedicated service to our high school athletic programs and join them along with our participating schools, reminding everyone to make great sportsmanship a part of this and every athletic competition. So, the Knights have won the toss and deferred. That means that the Mustangs will have the opening offensive possession here in Week 9. And once again, welcome to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium for varsity football competition. The final regular home game of the 15th anniversary season. Please welcome our guests from East Ridge High School. They are the Knights. And they'll be taking on your Wakaiva High School Mustangs. Once again, your Wakaiva High School Mustangs. So, Neil, the Mustangs are coming off of a tough loss last week that, to any objective third-party observer who does not bleed either maroon and gold or red and white, the Mustangs frankly outperformed expectations last week against the Eagles. I think a lot of people saw Wakaiva going into that game with a 2-4 record against a state powerhouse and thought that it might have turned into a bloodbath, which it really didn't. If a couple of special teams plays had gone the other direction, that could have been a tie ball game. Yeah, Mark. Yes, Mark, and it was, yes, Mark, 7-7 at halftime, and Wakaiva actually had an opportunity to go in with as much as a 21-7 lead. The thing about Wakaiva, and Coach Schwartz keeps relating this back to the overall umbrella of just a young and inexperienced team, which means they do make mistakes, is the fact that if you look at Wakaiva, even though they're 2-4, they've had one really bad game in terms of losing. That was 49-3 against West Orange, and then they beat Ridge Community 53-14. So if we do like they do for a lot of Olympic events, throw out the high score and throw out the low score, you have an average of scoring 18 points while giving up only 19. So it's not like Wakaiva is getting taken behind the proverbial woodshed. The average is 1 point. And to tonight's game, this should be a fairly easy victory. They're taking on East Ridge, who at one time, about 10 years, was a state championship contender. They even set the regular season record for consecutive victories as we kick off. And that Frosty's going to take that one from the 10. Foster, one of the 15 seniors being honored tonight. He's going down the left hash mark. And Wakaiva will start 1st and 10. And outside of their own 40. So Tamarian Foster on the return after the kickoff by Caden Nicholson. He's taken down just past the 35-yard line. We'll call that the 36. And the Mustangs will begin their opening drive from there.
And so as we begin tonight's game, Mark, As I mentioned, East Ridge was at one time a state championship contender. They are far from that. They come in 0-7. Try to be nice about this. Try not to, it's high school football. It's not the NFL. But the reality is that their average score in all 7 of those losses is 55-4. Again, Wakaiva comes in with only a 1-point differential in their average. And look for a lot of that pound and ground running. That was James Brown taking that first handoff.
James Brown on the carry, tackled by Ty Lilly of the Knight defense after a gain of 3 yards. That will bring up 2nd and 7 for the Mustangs from their own 39-yard line. So, Neil, looking at the Mustangs picture coming into this, while again I would argue that they outperformed expectations against Edgewater, at the end of the day, an L is still an L on the record, and now Wakaiva kind of needs help from other teams if they want to have any shot. They're not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, but they're looking at a bit of a long shot.
Yeah, definitely at 2-5. I don't think you need to be a football guru to understand that. That was Terrell Weathers plowing behind the left side of the line. He'll get a first down.
Terrell Weathers on the carry for a gain of 11 yards and a Mustang first down.
So 1st and 10, the first down for Wakaiva at their own 49-yard line. Of course, Weathers and Brown, it would be ideal if we could get both of them healthy, and I believe they are tonight, and we have that 1-2 punch. Talked to Coach Schwartz like I do every Monday, and he said, look, I know it's still a long shot. I know we need some help. But we are still 2-5. We do still have something to play for, and that is Tyree Davis, the quarterback, to Chris Reed, the Utah signee. A spin up to the 40, the 30, the 25, cuts inside, score that touchdown.
Chris Reed, 50 yards for a Mustang touchdown.
And Wakaiva breaks out front, 33 seconds into the game, 4 plays, 65 yards, and that's exactly what you want to see if you're Wakaiva. That, of course, in any situation, any game, you want to see your team score in 33 seconds. But as you mentioned, Mark, they're coming off a loss, so you need it even more tonight. And the PAT with 10:37 remaining in the first quarter. Ball is down, kick is up.
Alejandro Carmona's try is good. The Mustangs take a 7-0 lead with 10 minutes, 37 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
So lightning quick start to this game, 4 plays, only 3 yards on the first play, but on the second, 11-yard rush by Terrell Weathers, and then a 51-yard completion, Tyree Davis to Chris Reed, the University of Utah signee, and he was off to the races with some juking, some jiving, some flash and dash, and Wakaiva gets a 7-0 lead with Carmona putting the ball between the upright on the PAT. So I want to also point out, Mark, of course, we've talked about them coming off of a loss in which they performed above expectations. If you just look at the paper, the record of 2-4 against Edgewater, 6-1. But Wakaiva does have an opportunity to go 3 victories over the last 4 contests. And got a bobble, another bobble, finally picked up by James Shablock. He does some dancing and finally goes down. So East Ridge down 7-0 will take over possession at their own 17-yard line. So Wakaiva not only follows up that lightning quick, the 7-0 lead on only 3 plays, but they pin East Ridge back on the exchange of possessions. So one thing I want to point out tonight, as East Ridge will go to work at their own 17, and they'll hand the ball off, and getting back to the line of scrimmage, not much more, actually about a 4-yard gain. Initial contact at the line of scrimmage, and then the plowing ahead.
Number 11, Eric Anaya on the carry. Stop is made for the Mustangs by Jacoby Lowry. No gain on the play. That'll bring up 2nd and 10 for the Knights. There is a flag on the play, and it is waved off.
All right, so, excuse me, the line of scrimmage is the 21, as Mark just said.
And correction, that was a gain of 5
Okay,
on the play, so it will now be 2nd and 5 for the Knights from their own 22.
So look for number 11, Eric Anaya. He's going to run the ball a lot, along with Enrique Hernandez, the quarterback. Again, Wakaiva comes in with the opportunity to win 3 out of their last 4 games. The only loss would be to Edgewater as a short pass is completed, and that'll bring up 3rd and short.
Pass is complete to number 11, Eric Anaya. That puts the ball at the 28-yard line, close to first down marker.
2 yards to go.
We'll call it the 26 for a gain of 4, and that brings up 3rd and 1.
So critical 3rd down conversion attempt, first of the game. Wakaiva scoring on 3 plays, a handoff, and pinned behind the line. Anaya will go down with a loss, and Wakaiva forces Eastridge to punt, 3 and out.
Eric Anaya on the carry for the Knights, and it is a TFL. The ball is spotted at the 26-yard line. That'll bring up 4th and 1 for the Knights. And they will line up to punt it away.
So Wakaiva will take over possession. We're only 3 minutes in with the 7-0 lead already. There's the punt. And this is going to be a really short punt. Chris Reed wants no part of it. As a matter of fact, he just trots out of bounds and says you can down it, East River. And Wakaiva will take over possession with 8:35 in the first quarter.
Ball is spotted
at their own
37-yard line of Mustang territory, where it is downed after the punt by Caden Nicholson. Wakaiva takes over from there with their 2nd offensive possession of the evening.
Yeah, and so going back to that loss to Edgewater, Wakaiva certainly had an opportunity to keep pace in terms of scoring. Coach Schwartz pointed that out when I talked to him this week. He just said it was the opportunities. Wakaiva was unable to execute those actions, which progresses a team from, this is going to be James Brown taking it on the left side as Wakaiva, for the 2nd consecutive series, opens with a rush.
James Brown on the carry for the Mustangs. Stop made by Lionel Etienne of the Knights defense after a gain of 2 yards. That puts the ball at the 40-yard line and brings up 2nd and 8.
Yeah, so Wakaiva against Edgewater, just basically they could not put together those plays. They made the mistakes when they had the opportunities to create a better position from which to win. They did that about 12 times. Edgewater was unable to convert those opportunities about 5 times, a handful of times. And Coach Schwartz said that was really the difference. It wasn't necessarily the quality of the play in terms of his execution from play to play, as we now get a penalty. And again, Mark, that's really the biggest difference between a team like Edgewater that consistently wins, that's a state championship contender, and a team that's still learning how to win.
Offsides is called against the Knights defense. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. And a replay of 2nd down. Now 2nd and 3 for the Mustangs.
Those are the plays which takes a team as Brown gets the rush, a little juke, a jive, and he'll spurt ahead.
Yeah, nice blocking
first
there.
Down. Yeah, the left side of that line.
James Brown on the carry for the Mustangs.
Into Eastridge territory for the 2nd time in as many opportunities.
That puts the ball at the 46-yard line of Knights territory for a gain of 9 on the play. It brings up 1st and 10 for Wakaiva.
That was actually Terrell Weathers who ran with the ball. So, again, talking about the mistakes against Edgewater, those are the mistakes which takes a team from providing a strong challenge, which Wakaiva did, to actually being able to win and, most importantly, defeat the state championship contenders. With all that said, 1st and 10, Wakaiva at the Eastridge 47-yard line. One back set, that's Davis in, hands it off to Brown, who came in replacing Weathers. And now we're really seeing the effects of what Brown and Weathers as a 1-2 punch can do. Got both of them running inside, but one's more of a power runner. That's Brown.
James Brown on the carry for the Mustangs for a gain of 1. That'll bring him 2nd and 9 for Wakaiva from the Knights' 45-yard line.
And so looking at the offensive line, your starters tonight, you have Edison Edmonds, Holly St. Molest on the left. In the middle, Carlos Fonseca. And on the right, Jazzy Valentine and Jaheim Reed. We'll get the skill players after this play. The one-back set, Davis calling out the plays. That's Brown lined up. That's Carlos Ducima, the fullback, lined up to the left. Davis under pressure. He'll roll. And he is not going to be able to get rid of that ball.
Actually, he does. It is ruled a forward pass in. Now the ball is spotted at the 41-yard line. And so Davis was down by contact prior to releasing the forward pass. So that will be a sack.
And
that is a loss on the play of 14 yards and brings up 3rd and 23.
And I think that's the biggest loss on a sack all season for Wakaiva.
Yeah, that just wasn't a great decision. I mean, at that point, you've got to throw the ball away.
So your skilled players, as we mentioned, Tyree Davis under center, Brown, the running back, and Davis is going to take this.
No, that's a direct snap.
Yeah, it's a direct snap.
That's Elijah Rooney.
Rooney, okay,
yep.
Rooney came in.
Elijah Rooney with the QB keeper to take the ball back into Knights territory.
Yeah, a long way from that first down.
That puts the ball at the 48-yard line for a gain of 11 on the play, and that will bring up 4th and 12 for the Mustangs.
And Rooney has become more of that rushing quarterback, Davis more of the passing. So your other players, of course, Chris Reed, Justin Hutchinson are your starters. Javis Dusalma, your
Juvens Delsima.
Juvens Delsima is your fullback, and your tight end is Xavier Stevens, who actually converted from defense midway through the season. Wakaiva with Rooney going to go for that first down, going deep along the left sideline. Oh, Reed unable to corral that ball, and quite frankly, that's one of those he should have had.
Pass intended for Christopher Reed falls incomplete.
And
that will turn the ball over on downs to the Knights, and we have now passed the midpoint of the first quarter, and so we'll pause for an official timeout.
And that was one of those passes. It was not thrown perfectly to Reed, but it did land on his hands, and he took his eye off the field, lost his concentration. Wakaiva would have been in business. Nonetheless, Wakaiva has gotten off to a strong start, 7-0. 5:14 remaining in the first quarter. And so also want to talk about East Ridge's situation. They were dealt just a tremendous hammer blow about a month before the start of the season. Of course, East Ridge comes in 0-7 from Claremont. They have clearly have a lot of work to do. We don't need to lament that. But they started the season. They are a young and inexperienced team, just like Wakaiva was. However, they switched coaches about a month before the start of the season, about 2 weeks before the start of fall practice. Matt Mendez was named, and they just never really have seemed to be able to move forward to begin with, and then the situation just got worse, having to switch quarterbacks. And this is a very strong run.
Number 5, Noel Rodriguez makes the handoff to Enrique Hernandez, who's finally taken out of bounds by the Mustang, or taken out near the out of bounds line. But not before picking up a first down. That puts the ball in Wakaiva territory at the 37-yard line for a gain of 15 on the carry.
So the first down for East Ridge, they run the spread offense. They pretty much stick to the traditional concepts. And they will go out of the one-back set with the fullback, like Wakaiva, the shovel pass.
Yeah, that was not a clean pass. He was able to bring it in, but lost all of his momentum in the process.
That was Enrique Hernandez trying to make something out of nothing, and they lose a yard.
Lateral to Enrique Hernandez. Stop made for the Mustangs by Donovan Knight, and that'll be a loss of 2 on the play. Brings up 2nd and 12 for the Knights from their Mustang 39-yard line.
So once again, Matt Mendez named approximately a month before the very first start, the first game of the season in mid-July. And the team was already young and inexperienced. Another handoff to Hernandez, who's got a hole on that left side and bangs ahead, barrels ahead for some positive yardage.
Hernandez on the carry for the Knights. Stop made by George Reed. The ball is spotted at the 35-yard line of Mustang territory for a gain of 4 on the play. That brings up 3rd and 8 for the Knights.
So Reed with his 28th tackle of the season, one of the seniors we honored tonight. Snap, drop back, here comes the pressure, rolling, intercepted along that left hash mark, and that was Mike Foster. And he will slam ahead for about 12 yards, and Wakaiva back in business at their own 43-yard line. 3:06 remaining in the first quarter.
Michael Foster with the interception. Tackle made by Jeremy Rudolph, but not before. Foster picks up possession for the Mustangs and gets the ball to the 43-yard line.
So Mike Foster picking up his 3rd interception of the season. And we talked about this the last game. Mike Foster actually began the season as a wide receiver. Not only is he playing varsity football for the first time, but he's playing defense in defensive switch in mid-season. So Wakaiva goes to work. The handoff, slipping off the tackle, picking up about another 10 yards on that right side. That's Weathers.
Terrell Weathers on the carry for the Mustangs. Stop made by Anthony Wade of the Knights defense. The ball is spotted at the 42-yard line of Knights territory. That's a gain of 15 yards and enough for a Mustang first down.
So Wakaiva looking strong with that rushing attack. Both Brown and Weathers have been injured this season. Both of them have had to miss a couple of games or parts of games due to injuries. But tonight they are looking sharp against this East Ridge defense. 1st and 10, that's Elijah Rooney out of the shotgun. The handoff to Marion Prince, another senior. And on the, I guess you could call it a semi-sweep, he plunges ahead for good yardage, about 6 on first down.
Amarian Prince on the carry for the Mustangs. That puts the ball inside the 40-yard line to the 38. That's a gain of 4 on the play. It brings up 2nd and 6 for Wakaiva.
As we drop under 2 minutes, Neil Fisher alongside Mark Barchi in the Wakaiva Broadcast Production Department handling the video aspects. 7-0, Wakaiva scoring on only 3 plays, first possession of the game. A 57-yard touchdown pass, Davis to Reed, and they're looking to up that lead. The straight handoff to Weathers. He goes behind the left side of his line, and he will get a first down, yes.
Terrell Weathers on the carry for the Mustangs. A little bit of a pile up there.
Yeah, and I looked over and I saw...
Yeah, I saw East Ridge signaling like they
fumble.
had it, and like, no, not
fumble.
Afraid not.
Yeah, but the refs didn't even hesitate.
It is enough for a Mustang. First down. Ball spotted at the 32-yard line for a gain of 6.
So Brown started the game. Weathers making his presence felt on this series. Rushing the ball twice for 21 yards. 1:10 remaining in the first quarter. Wakaiva had 7-0. It's senior night here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. That's Wakaiva senior night. The one-back set.
Flag on the play.
Yeah, that's a delay of game. Prince was not able to get off the field in time.
Illegal substitution is called against the Mustangs. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot and a replay of first down.
Yeah, and again, that was confusion we've talked about throughout the season. Mistakes. Prince was supposed to come off the field. Not sure who had the miscommunication, but the bottom line was Prince was still on the field when the clock hit 00. Wakaiva had to wait for Prince to get off because they had too many men on the field. And now Davis comes in, number 2. And Davis will run the shotgun, the one-back set. Running back to his right, drops back. The throw, overthrown. That's actually, I believe, Solomon Georges, the freshman. Yeah, that's number 17. So that's his first action this season, Mark.
Yes, it is. I don't even have him on my roster from earlier in the year.
He's a freshman, one of 2 freshmen on the varsity team this season. So Coach Schwartz, I suppose, is looking to give some of his younger players an opportunity. And when you're up 7-0, I guess that's as good a time as any.
Pass falls incomplete for Georges, intended for Hutchinson. 2nd and 15 coming up.
Yeah, and Davis with the Wildcat rush, nothing fancy there, followed his left line and had left line giving him about 6 inches as he continued to move and surged forward. It will be a first down for Wakaiva.
Tyree Davis on the QB keeper. That takes the ball to the 24-yard line for a gain of 13. And that will bring up 3rd and 2 for the Mustangs. And that takes us to the end of the first quarter. The Mustangs on top, 7-0. They'll have 3rd and 2 from the Knights' 24-yard line when we return from the break.
So, well,
and we want to welcome to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium Dr. Andre Baptiste, who will be joining us at halftime to present the Athlete of the Month awards. We have 2 young men and women who will be receiving those. We'll make that announcement at halftime, but Dr. Baptiste, looking forward to having you join us on the field in a little bit.
Oh, thanks.
And real quick, we begin the second quarter with Wakaiva up 7-0. And so Wakaiva will continue to march down the field. That's Matt Hardy taking the handoff. And are we ready to talk to the good doctor?
Sure, let's bring up his mic in the press box at least, and we'll get him on the microphone in the stadium a little bit later, but I should be able to hear him now.
Wakaiva just picked up another first down. They continue to march. They'll have the ball at their own 24.
And who was that got the first down?
That was Jeremiah Hardy.
East Ridge timeout.
So a timeout on the field. Wakaiva continues to lead 7-0. Taking that opening possession, marching 57 yards on only 3 plays. And now are we ready to talk to the good doctor?
Yeah, let's see if we can get that to work now. Welcome to the press box, Dr. Baptiste.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, glad to have you. We are using we're using a different kind of microphone tonight so that we can pick up the band for their halftime show. So it's made to capture sound from 100 yards away, but it also works at 1 yard.
Well, thanks for having me here, guys.
No, glad to have you up here, and this is, of course, a bit of a celebration tonight. We've got senior night as we recognize the members of the class of 2022. Nice pass there to Reed, got some room to run. Can he get to the end zone? Not quite. Chris Reed on the catch for the Mustangs.
That will put Wakaiva down at, I believe, the 1 yard line.
It is short of the goal line, but it puts Wakaiva with 1st and goal. The ball is spotted at the 1 yard line.
And so Wakaiva will go to work. Davis under center, 1 back set, the straight handoff to DeSima, and he busts through that center of the line. Score the touchdown, 13-0, 11-17 before halftime.
Number 15,
15.
Jeremy Benjamin carries the ball in for a Mustang touchdown. There's a name I haven't called all season.
Okay, so now we got a break. Let's get the good doctor.
Yes, we're bringing back the Student of the Month program.
Well, it never really went anywhere. We were always doing it.
Carmona's try is blocked, so the score will remain 13-0 with 11 minutes, 17 seconds remaining in the second quarter. So yes, as you said, Dr. Baptiste, it never really went anywhere, but we're going to recognize it a little bit more publicly, and I know you'll be in Mr. Dickerson's studio later on, but we'll have an opportunity for the first time in a while to actually award it in front of a crowd.
Yes, definitely. So I'm looking forward to that. We have 2 really outstanding winners, so they're very impressive students and student athletes. So I'm very proud of them.
And we're looking forward to that. And East Ridge did not bring a band tonight, so it'll just be the Wakaiva band performing at halftime, and that'll give us a little extra time to take care of that.
So, Dr. Baptiste, obviously, since it's Athlete of the Month, it is based on athletic performance, but what other qualifications?
Well, they have to be an athlete, obviously, but they also have to be a great student, and have show good moral character.
Carmona's kickoff is out of bounds. That'll be a penalty marker. So the ball going out of bounds there at about the 20-yard line. That, of course, is illegal on a kickoff. The ball is placed at the 35-yard line, and East Ridge will take over from there.
Yeah, and let's also talk, I know, of course, you've been on some of our other broadcasts, and you've talked about this, but education obviously means a lot to you. Why do you believe so deeply in education?
Well, I went to public schools my whole life, and when I found out the needs that the public schools have here in Central Florida, I was shocked, and I felt an obligation to pitch in.
So glad to hear that. Of course, I myself am a lifelong believer in education. And I think nowadays, I grew up in a household where education was always mentioned. I am Jewish, and that is actually one of the, characteristics of my people. You get an education. But I think it's even more important nowadays because technology is making, the world's constantly changing because of digital technology, so you have to keep up with that.
Mustang sack by number 14, Davion Watkins. That will pull the ball all the way back inside the 25-yard line. That is a loss of 8 on the play, and it brings up 3rd and 20 for the Knights. And so I know I just got the email, I assume you did as well, for teach-in coming up the Wednesday prior to Thanksgiving, as always. I'll be there for that. I suspect you will be as well.
Yeah.
You're on a streak, I know, just like I am.
Yeah, I will definitely be. I know I'm going to be at Wakaiva. That's one of the schools I'm always at. But I'm probably going to be at about 3 or 4 other schools that day, and my entire staff will probably take about 20 or 30 schools, and we'll split up the whole staff amongst those.
Yeah, that's a really cool event. That it's an annual tradition that happens the Wednesday before Thanksgiving every year, where Orange County Public Schools invites business professionals of all different career paths to come into classrooms and give presentations on a variety of different topics. And really make what they're learning in the classroom relevant. And that pass nowhere close, intended there for Eric Anaya. Pass falls incomplete, and that will bring up 4th and 15 after the offsides penalty against the Mustangs. Ball now at the 30-yard line of Knights territory.
And so, Dr. Baptiste, just wanted to get an idea of what your thoughts are. Like I said, education has always been important, but now it seems to be even more important because digital technology means the world is constantly changing. Getting like new cell phones every couple of years as an example. What are your thoughts?
No, it's critically important right now in these times. A high school diploma is sort of the basic starting point now. It's a college degree is almost what a high school diploma used to be in today's society. So everything's technical. There's not as many jobs that you can do sort of without a high school degree anymore. So I agree with you. The world's changing a lot, and we have to change as well.
And I think also the focus on continuing education, lifelong learning, that, of course, my degree was in computer science, and while I'm an HR professional, I have a high technology focus in the particular work that I do for HR. And while I certainly learned a lot of useful things in college about computer science, the specific languages that I learned to code in and the specific technology that I learned is all completely useless now.
Right. Yeah.
And I would agree with that, Mark. For those of you who don't know, I'm a reporter with the Apopka Chief. I graduated in 1997 with a bachelor's in history from UCF. And, my job as a reporter, this is, we're sitting up here streaming this game and talking to you, Doctor, and that was something that we would never have been able to do when I graduated in 97.
Illegal substitution is called on the Mustangs before the play can get off. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. It brings up 1st and 15. Neil, to that point, I know, Dr. Baptiste, you've been following sports, I know, for a long time, and it's amazing what we can do now at the amateur level. I can broadcast in high definition, keep the scoreboard data connected at the bottom of the screen, have 2 live broadcasters, put it on the internet, and people can use apps to pull it up on a smart TV at home. That's something that even 5-10 years ago was the domain of ESPN and the major networks.
The most amazing thing to me is these kids, everything they do, they will have a record of this their whole lives. Yeah, there was no internet when I played sports. Like, I played in college, there was no internet. And all the things I did in college, they're just memories, and they're gone. They don't exist anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I mean, the internet was around when I was in high school and college, but there was certainly no Web 2.0, no social media, no digital records of literally everything. That pass is caught.
That's Chris Reed. Oh. Some slash and some dash. He's down the left sideline.
Chris Reed all the way into Knights territory, finally pushed out of bounds at the 20-yard line for a gain of 45 yards on the completion.
So 45 yards on that completion from Reed. Reed, of course, speaking of education, we're here with Dr. Baptiste, the local orthodontics. Reed just recently signed a couple weeks ago with the University of Utah, so congratulations to him. And, that's a Pac-12 school. They're a Power 5 conference. Obviously, you have to have your athletic hops, but you also have to have the academics, as Rooney takes it down the right side, and there is a flag that's usually holding.
Elijah Rooney on the carry for the Mustangs. There is a flag on the play. Holding called against the Mustang offense. That's 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, and a replay of first down. So, Dr. Baptiste, I know you, a couple of years ago, I was there for the grand opening of your beautiful new facility in Apopka, and now you have opened a pediatric dentistry practice that's right around its first anniversary, right?
Yes, it is. We're about almost a year old right now.
And how's that going?
It's going really well. We have an amazing pediatric dentist, Dr. Alma Karaya. She is unbelievable. The patients love her. She's gotten to be way more popular than me in the Baptiste orthodontics world, which I'm perfectly fine with. But It's an amazing situation right now. We're very blessed to have found her.
So Wakaiva continues to run. They've only passed a few times. Most of the attack's been the rush.
And did you see the rusher on that play?
I believe that was number 4, James Hardy, who, by the way, was caught up from JV midway through the season.
Ball is spotted at the 17-yard line for a gain of 7 on the play. That brings up 2nd and 7 for the Mustangs. And a flag on the play.
As soon as that ball was snapped.
Prior to the snap, offsides called against the Knights defense. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. And a replay of 2nd down. It will now be 2nd and 2 from the 12-yard line.
So Wakaiva is able to gain most of that yardage they lost on the holding penalty back. 6:57 before halftime. Wakaiva up 13-0. Trying to pound that ball in and take a 3-touchdown lead into halftime. 2nd and 2, as Mark just noted. Out of the one-back set, Elijah Rooney, the snap, the handoff. They're going sweep again to Hardy. And I believe he's about a yard short of the first down.
Hardy on the carry for the Mustangs. And we'll wait for the spot. Ball is placed at the 11-yard line. That is a gain of 1, and it will bring up 3rd and 1 for the Mustangs.
And so we continue to talk to Dr. Baptiste, who, of course, the stadium is named after. He came in to announce that they are going to now have a ceremony for the Athlete of the Year, which they present. This is a direct hand snap to Rooney. He slips off a tackle and scoots into the end zone. 20-0 Wakaiva, 5:55 in the first half.
Elijah Rooney picks up a couple of good blocks from the offensive line, and he is into the end zone for an 11-yard Mustang touchdown.
And so Carmona will come in to attempt the PAT. Actually, no, Wakaiva's going to go for the 2-point after touchdown conversion.
19-0 the score with 5 minutes, 55 seconds remaining in the second quarter.
And that is actually the first rushing touchdown of the season for Rooney.
Oh, let's see. Did he come down with it? No, I'm going to say no, he did not. Pass intended for Amarian Prince falls incomplete. And so the try is no good. The score remains 19-0 with 5 minutes, 55 seconds remaining in the second quarter. That also takes us to the midpoint of the second quarter, and so we'll pause for an official timeout. Again, we will be presenting the Athlete of the Month award on behalf of Dr. Baptiste at Baptiste Orthodontics at halftime following the Mustang Marching Band performance. Of course, Dr. Baptiste has his 3rd practice opened in a beautiful office right in the heart of downtown Apopka, just across the street from Kitland Nelson Park, where just about a year ago they were proud to open their pediatric dentistry practice with Dr. Alma, so you can now get complete coordination of dental care all in one place, with pediatric dentistry and orthodontic services all under one roof. Baptiste Orthodontics and Pediatric Dentistry in the heart of downtown Apopka.
And so, Dr. Baptiste, since you are a former athlete yourself, just your thoughts about the football team. I know, of course, you've seen a couple of games, and they are young and experienced, but what's your thoughts about them?
Well, you know, they look well coached. You know, tonight's probably the best I've seen them play. I've seen a couple games this year. Unfortunately, I've been bad luck because I've seen the games where they've lost. But they look very impressive tonight. They look like they got a lot of energy and very disciplined.
Yeah, we started off tonight's broadcast talking about if they win tonight, that'll be their 3rd over the course of four games. They started the season losing their first 4. 3 of those first 4, they gave up a 2-touchdown lead because of mistakes. And they still do make some of those mistakes, but they are certainly seeming to limit them. And they are making some progress in that direction.
Alejandro Carmona on the kickoff. Anthony Wade makes the catch at the 23. Advances 7 yards before being tackled by Chris Reed. And so the Knights will start at their own 30-yard line with 1st and 10. So, Dr. Baptiste, I know you've been in the business for a while. Of course, Apopka, as we mentioned a moment ago, is your 3rd location. And it is
picked off.
Intercepted.
That's Varsity to Marion Foster.
Foster. 35 yards for a Mustang. Pick 6.
And as you just said, Dr. Baptiste are looking good, not just on offense. There's some hands by Frosty, one of the seniors, some slash and dash, and some footwork, and we are now up 25-0.
I believe Frosty is actually the male student athlete of the month.
Oh, no, you gave it away, but no, that's our online listeners will know a little bit before our live crowd here does.
Oh.
Yes, Tamarian Foster is the September athlete of the month, and, well, you can see why. Oh, no, wait a minute. We have some late-breaking news here. Let's look at the official.
So,
wait, what?
I think that's been called back.
Yeah, we're going to wait for the official signal, but clearly something didn't go right.
I'm not quite sure now.
Oh, I gotcha.
So, okay, it's going to be 1st and 10.
1st and 10 for the Knights from their own 45-yard line after the official review. And that play is made by number 2, Enrique Hernandez.
5.5 minutes before halftime. Wakaiva still up 19-0, playing an East Ridge team that is 0-7. Of course, we talked about this also. It is a long shot for Wakaiva to get into the state playoffs, but they still do have an opportunity. Of course, they have to win all 3 of their games. And you can't get to the last step unless you take the first one, which they have done tonight with that 19-0 lead.
Who do they have in the next 2 games?
Next week they play Winter Haven and then, of course, the Tater Bowl against Apopka.
Ooh.
So, yeah, it's Winter Haven, certainly they'll be a favorite, but Apopka is going to be the big game.
That's going to be a huge game.
I mean, it is every year. That's always, of course, the crosstown rivalry that we've had ever since Wakaiva opened 15 years ago. But certainly this year, Apopka is having a very strong season. And so even though Wakaiva is certainly an up-and-coming program and looks a lot better now than they did at the beginning of the season, your odds makers are going to favor Apopka in that game, and Wakaiva is really going to have to rise to that challenge. Enrique Hernandez on the carry for the Knights. That's good for a gain of 5 yards. It takes the ball to the 37-yard line. That is enough for a first down. Now 1st and 10 for the Knights.
So East Ridge trying to get some momentum heading into halftime. They trailed 19-0 as we approach 4 minutes. The snap, the drop, it's swallowed up. Fumble! Wakaiva dives on it, and just like that, now Wakaiva is looking to go up 4 touchdowns before halftime. So, Dr. Baptiste, we talked about them looking good, and now we're seeing the defensive line. Boy, they got off that line quick. Some great footwork, and caused that fumble, and some great reaction there.
Watkins on the fumble recovery. That takes the ball to the 43-yard line, and while this one is not returned for a touchdown, it looks like this one is going to stick. The Mustangs will take over possession with 1st and 10.
And that's the 14th fumble against that an opponent against Wakaiva's had. They've recovered 9 of the 10.
So as I started to mention earlier before we had all that excitement with Frosty, you've had an orthodontics practice in Central Florida for quite some time now. You already had 2 locations a little farther south in Orange County, and now you've expanded into the Apopka area and really kind of put down roots here. That you're obviously you stay involved with several Orange County public schools, but particularly up here in the Apopka and Wakaiva area in South Apopka, where your business is the newest.
Yeah, we do spend a lot of time at Apopka High, Apopka Middle, Wakaiva.
Anybody see who ran?
See who ran?
So Wakaiva continuing to march down the field. The handoff, the sweep. Good yardage on first down, following that right side of the line. The spurt and some good footwork.
On the carry for the Mustangs. That puts the ball at the 39-yard line of Knights territory, and it's enough for a Mustang first down. That's a gain of 12 on the play.
Excuse me, number 33 is Jeremy Benjamin. 15 is not Jeremy Benjamin.
So correction, that was actually Jeremy Benjamin. And so Wakaiva with another first down, 2.5 before halftime. The quick pass out to the left. And that is Amari Prince, one of the seniors honored tonight. And he picked up about another 3 yards as he went down. So Wakaiva continues to march. The clock does stop momentarily while the chains are moved. And the ball is now at the 27.
Amari Prince on the carry to the 27-yard line for a gain of 11. That's good for a Mustang first down.
And Wakaiva goes back to the other side, and Chris Reed.
Pass complete to Chris Reed, who is near the goal line. It's a Mustang touchdown!
27 yards to Chris Reed. A simple screen pass out to the right sideline, and Reed with some slip sliding on the defense and finds his way into the end zone. 25-0, 1:56 before halftime. And now Wakaiva taking advantage.
Chris
of the
Reed
fumble.
with a 27-yard touchdown catch. Wakaiva takes a 25-0 lead with 1 minute 56 seconds remaining. Carmona with the try.
And now Davis getting in there late. I think that was Davis running in. Low snap. Carmona gets it up, though. And it is good. And so
Alejandro Carmona with the extra point. And that gives the Mustangs a 26-0 lead with 1 minute 56 seconds remaining in the first half.
So even the kicking game is blossoming tonight, Mark. Only about 50% on the PATs all season. Carmona is 2 for 2. Or is it 3? So Wakaiva holding a 26-0 lead. 1:56 before halftime. They come in 2-5. However, they are looking for their third victory over the last 4 games. And certainly, we talked a little bit about this with Dr. Baptiste, the local orthodontic. Their big game is against Apopka. That's going to tell a lot. Wakaiva still with an opportunity to get into the playoffs, but that game probably will be more about setting the tone for next season, getting this young and inexperienced team to take that next step. And you want to go into that game with as much momentum as you can. So Wakaiva taking care of that first step tonight with the 26-0 lead. And the kickoff. Scramble right past midfield.
That's an interesting decision to make there.
When you're up 26-0. And Wakaiva pays off. Coach Schwartz taking the risk.
It is an onside kick, and it is recovered by the Mustangs.
So if you're new to high school football, the running clock does come into effect at 35-point margin.
But it must be in the second half.
Yeah, second half. So Wakaiva's not quite there yet, but they certainly are on the verge. A 26-0 lead as they recover that onside kick. And
Donovan Knight with the recovery for the Mustangs inside Knight territory at the 48-yard line. Mustangs 1st and 10.
And that is Davis out of the shotgun. One back set, drops back, and he will not get the chance to pass. A dead ball foul.
I don't see the penalty marker, though. Was it a timeout?
As that was a timeout, Mark. Both teams walking off the field. So we'll just have a delay before the next snap.
Coming up at halftime, we'll have the Mustang Marching Band play, and then Dr. Baptiste from Baptiste Orthodontics will be here to present our September Athletes of the Month. They are both seniors. You won't want to miss that. Again, that's coming up right after the Mustang halftime show.
And, of course, Dr. Baptiste is in the booth with us. Thank you for joining us, Doctor. As always, we enjoy having the doc in here.
And hopefully we'll get a chance to have you join us for maybe a couple of basketball games. We got a lot of basketball games we're hosting coming up this season. Maybe some soccer matches. We've got baseball and softball in the spring. I know you joined us for a baseball game last season, and then it got rained out, so we didn't get very far with that one. Going
Davis picked off. Coach Schwartz saying, "Let's go for it all," and this time it does not pay off. And a nifty return. About 40 yards up that left sideline.
The pass is intercepted by by number 7, Christian Reese. Neil, was that Rooney or Davis at quarterback?
That was Davis. So the good news, if you're Wakaiva, you still have a 26-0 lead. You know, that's a situation I don't think Coach Schwartz, who does call the offensive plays, would normally call if you're in a closer game.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's be honest. You end up no worse in this situation than if you had just done a normal kickoff and gotten a good return on it. So, you know, nothing ventured, nothing lost.
So Rodriguez takes the snap. He goes to the air.
Pass is nearly picked off by Hakeem Lowe, but falls incomplete.
Speaking of Lowe, he is a transfer from Apopka.
2nd and 10 coming up for the Knights from their own 40-yard line.
So Hakeem Lowe, one of several transfers who came over this season, making his presence felt. 1:31 in the second half. Wakaiva with a 26-0 lead, looking to take their third victory in the last 4 games, up their overall record to 3-5. And Rodriguez going to the air again.
Yeah, that was close.
One-on-one coverage.
That was closer to the Mustang than it was to the Knight there. Pass intended for number 28. Devin Dingman is covered by Mike Hippolyte and falls incomplete.
So tonight is senior night. Of course, my partner, the other voice you're hearing, Mark Barchi, our public address announcer, handled those ceremonies.
And if you missed that, then it is on on-demand replay.
But Hippolyte is a freshman, actually a sophomore, 5'10", 150, and certainly that's where the future of this team is. Even though we have 15 seniors honored tonight, it's that sophomore and junior class. So Rodriguez handing off, and nothing fancy there. East Ridge maybe trying to catch Wakaiva napping, catching that D-line off guard. And that will bring up 4th down. And now if you're Coach Mendez.
Enrique Hernandez on the carry for a gain of 1. It'll bring up 4th and 9, and the Mustangs request a timeout. So, yeah, I mean, at this point, with only 1:08 left on the clock, I don't know if you're East Ridge, if you say, well, what the heck.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going, Mark.
And you were talking a moment ago.
East Ridge already down 26-0, 0-7. They certainly have nothing to lose.
Yeah, Mike Hippolyte is a senior. He was recognized earlier today in the senior night festivities. He is looking at FSU and UCF or perhaps USF. Wants to be a biologist, wants to pursue a doctoral degree in biology and go on to be an anesthesiologist. So 4th and 9 coming up for the Knights as Wakaiva calls timeout here. I'm not sure what Coach Schwartz has in mind here with this timeout. Wakaiva is going to try to do something clever here. I mean, I guess if you want to pull out your bag of tricks and experiment, this is the opportunity to do it.
Well, there is still 1 minute and 8 seconds, 68 ticks of the clock. So, I think his thought is the same reason he went for the onside kickoff. Let's get that lead up to 33 before halftime.
Takes a Mustang bounce out of bounds. The punt by Caden Nicholson will be spotted somewhere around the 30-yard line.
So stick around, exactly 1 minute at halftime. The Wakaiva Marching Mustangs will be performing last time this year at Baptiste Orthodox Stadium. And then, of course, we will have Dr. Baptiste himself present the Athlete of the Month award.
So the ball is spotted at the 25-yard line. It went out of bounds before realizing the benefit of the Mustang bounce. And so Wakaiva starts from there with 1 minute on the clock and 1st and 10.
26-0 lead being held by Wakaiva. They certainly dominated this first half, as they should, against an 0-7 East Ridge team. Rooney drops back under pressure, steps up, and avoids the tackle. And he won't get much, but certainly a couple yards is better than what it could have been.
Elijah Rooney on the QB keeper. He is stopped by the Knights defense, number 50, Sean Ganane.
So Wakaiva looking to get that lead up past 26-0, lining up quick out of the shotgun. The quick bubble pass, and that was tipped at the line.
Yep. Elijah Rooney's pass is tipped by Eric Anaya. Falls incomplete.
So 31 seconds remaining, and now Wakaiva facing 3rd and long from their own 23-yard line.
Ball is spotted at the 27-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 8.
So once again, Wakaiva looking to take at the very worst, a 26-0 lead. In the big picture, though, going for their 3rd victory over the last 4 contests, heading into the last couple games of the season. Rooney dropping back. Again, another quick screen. This is to Reed, trying to make some more yardage, and he gains
does.
about 2 extra yards.
I think he's got the first down.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to be a yard short, but that
pass is complete to number 2, Chris Reed, and he is across the 35 to the 36-yard line. It is just enough for a Mustang. First down.
So that 6', 2-inch frame, 190 pounds.
Yeah, he might have gotten
to the max by Reed.
He might have gotten a lot more out of that if the route were not underthrown and he had to come back to it. So he was driving the wrong direction when he caught that and then had to hit the brakes.
So last play of the first half, Rooney drops back, and that's incomplete. That was Hutchinson, the intended receiver.
Pass intended for Justin Hutchinson falls incomplete. And that takes us to halftime. The Mustangs will go into the halftime huddle with a 26-0 lead over the Knights. Don't go anywhere. We've got the Mustang Marching Band halftime performance coming up next, followed by our presentation of the September Athletes of the Month by Dr. Baptiste.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your halftime entertainment. Just kidding. Whoops. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Now entering the field for your halftime entertainment, the Wakaiva High School Marching Mustangs. The band is under the direction of Mr. Joshua Grossniklas. Assistant director is Mr. Frank Taylor. The color guard director is Mr. Michael McKee, and the percussion instructor is Mr. Justin Eubanks. The band is under the field command of drum major Miranda Hennessy. The band captain is Zion Dennis. Leadership and section leaders include Christy Ha, Tara Pierre, Jasmine Martinez, Shamaria Dara, Darmitria Martin, Blaze Davies, Judson Alsame, Chris Klingensmith, Kyle Weekly, Jameson Jean Charles, Makai Jackson, and Mariah Joseph. Tonight's show is entitled En Fuego. Opening our show is El Zorro, followed by the beautiful Bella Via, and concluding with the exciting Estancia. Drum major Miranda Hennessy. Is the band ready? You may now begin your halftime performance. How about another round of applause for the Wakaiva High School Marching Mustangs? On behalf of the students and the teaching staff, we want to thank you for your support this season, and we want to give a special thanks to our seniors for 4 years of outstanding work. If you want to continue to support the band, on Saturday, November 6th, they will be performing in the District Marching Music Performance Assessment. For more information on dates, locations, and times for that assessment, you can visit our website, wakaivaband.org. Thank you again. Enjoy the rest of halftime.
And now we invite you to turn your attention to Midfield, where Dr. Andre Baptiste of Baptiste Orthodontics is here to present our September Athletes of the Month. Our female Athlete of the Month is Juliet Rodriguez. And our male student athlete of the month, Tamarian Frosty Foster. And I am seeing Emily Harris out there too, so we may have the months mixed up, but congratulations to Emily as well on Student Athlete of the Month. And our thanks to Dr. Baptiste for sponsoring the Student Athlete of the Month program. Look for him to be featured on Wakaiva TV broadcast production later this month to interview our Athletes of the Month. Okay, so point of clarification, Juliet Rodriguez is the Student Athlete of the Month. Emily Harris, her friend and teammate from the volleyball team, accepting on her behalf because today, or this week, is her birthday, and so she was not able to join us in person tonight. So congratulations to Juliet and to Frosty on their Student Athlete of the Month. Again, they will be featured later this month on Wakaiva TV. Welcome back to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Mark Barchi, voice of the Mustangs, here with Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief. And the Knights have the opening possession of the second half. A ball taken at the 20-yard line there, and a nice return. That's number 9, Anthony Wade. Wade on the return, getting back into Mustang territory. The Knights will start with their best field position of the night.
And the score is 26-0. Wakaiva scoring on the first possession of the game. 3 plays, capped off by a 57-yard Tyree Davis to Chris Reed touchdown pass. Actually, correction, 65 yards. Wakaiva dominated that first half, as they should. Eastridge still looking for their first victory of the season. They are 0-7. And this is Rodriguez, the quarterback, out of the shotgun, handing off to Hernandez.
Handoff is made to number 2, Enrique Hernandez.
Who actually looks like he lost a couple yards.
Ball is spotted at the 42-yard line for a loss of 2 on the play. That brings up 2nd and 12 for the Knights from their own 42-yard line.
Not only is this the best starting field position for Eastridge, but it's also the first time they've started a possession on Wakaiva's side of the field. So 26-0 to score as the Wakaiva defense in the maroon jerseys go to work. The low snap, the handoff, and we're going to get something out of nothing. That was Hernandez taking the inside handoff. It almost looked like Wakaiva overplayed. About 4 or 5 of the defensive linebacker just ran right back by Rodriguez after that somewhat inefficient handoff.
Enrique Hernandez on the carry for a gain of 6. That puts the ball at the 34-yard line and brings up 3rd down.
So the snap out of the shotgun again, the one-back set, the handoff to Rodriguez. He's trying to get back to the line of scrimmage, and he will not. The defensive line once again swallowing up the Eastridge running back.
Enrique Hernandez on the carry. The stop is made by number 22, Donovan Knight. That puts the ball at the 35-yard line, and it brings up 4th and 5 for the Knights.
So a 3 and out. The Wakaiva defense doing its job, although Eastridge, Matt Mendez makes the call to go for it. Again, 4th and 5 from the Wakaiva 35-yard line. So you're down 26-0. You got nothing to lose. The snap, the pass. Rodriguez is going to run. Oh, and slam down right when he got to the line of scrimmage. The defensive line coming up big, swallowing up, closing that gap quickly.
Noel Rodriguez on the carry. The stop is made by Mike Hippolyte. Gain of 2, and that is not enough. So it turns the ball over on downs to the Mustangs.
So Wakaiva goes to work, 9:59 remaining in the third quarter, 26-0 lead. They've led from the third play of the game, and they outgained Eastridge by 274-35 margin in that first half. So certainly the stats back up the score, a dominating first half performance. Wakaiva not letting this winless team have any attempt to gain any type of confidence. And boy, I think our ball carrier ran about 15 yards to gain 1, or maybe 2. And we're going to have an injury timeout as well. One of the East Ridge players right at the line where the tackle was made. And that is number 52, Dennis Duhart, the junior linebacker.
Ball is spotted at the 35-yard line for a gain of 2, and we'll pause for an injury timeout. And Neil, I could have seen that run, but I think that might have been Ramel Smith coming into the game to run that play. That's the first time I've seen him take a handoff tonight.
Actually, it's the first time he's run running the ball, I believe, at home. I know he did take a couple handoffs in the Lake Nona game. But, yeah, Ramel Smith was one of 3 or 4 players who went into the season with an opportunity not only to see significant time as a running back, but to become the starting running back, the regular starting running back, and unfortunately he's had to deal with a series of injuries.
Yeah, and as you were starting to mention coming out of halftime, Neil, the stats pretty much line up with what you'd expect for this score. 14-3, Wakaiva leads in first downs, 276 to 36 yards in total offense. Wakaiva 152 yards passing, Eastridge 4. Wakaiva 124 yards rushing, Eastridge 32. One place where Wakaiva is not doing so well, 6 penalties for 40 yards. That's not that bad by their own standards.
That's about average. Wakaiva does come into this game with 71 penalties, 565 yards, 37 on defense, 34 on offense. Remember, that's after 7 games. So 71, 7 games, that's a little over 10 penalties.
Dennis Duhart was shaken up on the play. He makes his way off with the assistance of the athletic training team. Mustangs with 2nd and 8.
Handoff to, I believe that's Dusima, who spins and keeps his balance. Yes, that was Dusima.
Number 15, Juvens Dalsima, on the run for the Mustangs, and that takes the ball out to the 47-yard line, and that is a gain of 12 on the carry, and it's enough for a Mustang first down.
So Wakaiva up 26-0. We're 3 minutes into the third quarter. Handoff. Again, I believe that was Dusima once again. This time not as big, but still solid 4 yards, 5 yards on first down. That'll keep the ball moving.
Juvens Dalsima again on the carry. That takes the ball just inside Knights territory to the 49-yard line. A gain of 4 on the play, and it brings up 2nd and 6. And for those of you who may be following the Max Preps roster, a little switcheroo tonight. Jeremy Benjamin and Juvens Dalsima switched jerseys. So Benjamin wearing 33 tonight, Dalsima wearing 15.
And a whistle.
Flag on the play.
So Wakaiva tonight, if they can hold on to this 26-0 lead, it will be their 3rd victory over the last 4 games.
Sideline warning is called against the Mustangs. That's no penalty on the first offense.
Of course, Wakaiva looking to close out the season with a 5-5 record. They are 2-5. Davis takes the snap. QB draw. A little juke, a little jive. He's still on his feet, escaping about 3 tacklers on that first attempt. And he gained
Tyree
about
Davis
7
on
more
the
yards.
carry for the Mustangs. And that'll be a QB keeper. He's finally stopped by number 44. That's Danny Ortiz of the Knights defense. The ball is spotted at the 37-yard line of Knights territory for a gain of 12, and that brings up 1st and 10 for the Mustangs.
So 2 first downs and 34 yards gained on this drive so far as we drop to 7.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Wakaiva maintains that one-back set. Dusima, the fullback, lined up behind the line. Hardy to the right. This long throw.
Well overthrown.
Yeah, Davis again showing that inconsistency.
Pass intended for Hakeem Lowe. Falls incomplete.
So that'll change the down to second. Distance remains 10. So going into this game, the Wakaiva offense has been solid. Nothing that sticks out, though. 228 carries for 869 yards. That's a 3.5 yards per carry average. Passing is probably where they really need to pick it up, and that is not a surprise. The coaches talked about that all throughout the preseason. 57 of 132, only a 43% completion. It actually went down quite a bit after last games against Edgewater. And this time it doesn't matter as Coach Schwartz decides to stick on the ground. And a powering, banging, pulsating run there. Picks
Jeremy
up 9
Rudolph
yards.
on the carry for the Mustangs. That puts the ball at the 30-yard line for a gain of 7 on the carry. And it brings up 3rd and 3 for the Mustangs. Again, this is the final regular season home game of our 15th anniversary season here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. The Mustangs will finish the last 2 games of the regular season on the road. They are at Winter Haven, my old stomping grounds, next week. And then they are going to wrap up the season with the Tater Bowl, as always, at Apopka. Elijah Rooney with the QB keeper.
Yeah, and once again, Elijah Rooney and Tyree Davis have been splitting time since the beginning of the season. Really, even going as far as coming in and out between alternating possessions.
And we have now reached the midpoint of the 3rd quarter, and so we will pause for an official timeout. The ball is spotted at the 28-yard line for a gain of 2, and it's going to bring up 4th and 1 for the Mustangs when we return from the break.
And so Rooney has emerged as more of the running back. Davis is more of the passing quarterback. And again, you're seeing that alternating. Both quarterbacks have taken snaps during this first Wakaiva possession of the second half. Score is 26-0. We are live. Mark Barchi, my partner, Neil Fisher, along with the broadcast production department at Wakaiva High School, under the direction of Keith Dickinson. The score 26-0. Wakaiva looking to win its 3rd game over the last 4, up its record to 3-5.
As a proud sponsor of Wakaiva High School athletics, Baptiste Orthodontics and Dentistry for Kids invites you to visit their website for a detailed list of all the services they provide. Whether you're looking for a new healthy smile or in need of a dentist for your kids, Baptiste Orthodontics and Dentistry for Kids is here to serve the APOP community. Visit BaptisteOrthodontics.com.
So Rooney remains in at quarterback. He actually has an 11.6 yards per carry average, and it's actually snapped to Mike Foster, the safety, and that was just power physical and power.
Michael Foster on the carry for the Mustangs.
That was that front line of Edison Edmond, Howie St. Molest, Carlos Fonseca, Jazzy Valentine, Jaheim Reed, simply pushing the East Ridge defense backwards from the snap. 1st and 10 now at the 15. A 12-yard gain, actually the 16. Foster, no, that's Davis.
Yeah, Davis. So previously we saw Davis and Rooney going back and forth between series. Now they're going back and forth within a series, and the Mustangs, number 4, Jeremy Rudolph, around the corner and into the end zone. Jermaine Hardy into the end zone for the Mustang touchdown. Well, that's another jersey switcheroo there. That's not Jeremy Rudolph. That's Jermaine Hardy switching jerseys there.
And once again, that was the front line, the offensive line of Wakaiva taking charge as soon as that ball left the ground. Nothing fancy. This time the line did not have to push the defensive line back, but they sealed off that left third of the field and allowed Hardy to turn upfield for a 16-yard touchdown rush. So the score is now 32-0, 5:27 remaining in the 3rd quarter. And for those of you new to Florida high school football, running clock does come into effect once the margin is 35 points in second half. So Wakaiva is just on that cusp. They're not quite there yet.
Although I would point out that 35 points is actually the lowest margin of victory that East Ridge has faced this season.
A loss. Yes, they are losing by an average of 50 points as the PAT is good, and that ups the score to 33-0.
I presume that's Carmona that kicked that, so Carmona picks up the try, and that makes it a 33-0 game with 5 minutes, 27 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter.
Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium is the site of tonight's game. Thank you for joining us on the Wakaiva Mustangs Athletic Network. Neil Fisher alongside Mark Barchi in the broadcast production department of Wakaiva, handling the video aspects. Wakaiva now up 33-0. They have dominated this game from the beginning. Eastridge 0-7, so certainly the expectations have come to fruition. Wakaiva scored on the third play of the first half, third play of the game, a 65-yard Davis to Reed touchdown pass, and they have not looked back since then. Carmona puts foot to toe to the leather, a drop ball, and a scramble along that left sideline, and Eastridge does maintain control. So the last scoring drive consumed 67 yards, 10 plays, and Jeremiah Hardy taking the ball Jermaine Hardy taking the ball the last 16 yards to put Wakaiva up 33-0 with Juan Carmona's PAT. So East River going to work now, and we are on the verge of a running clock, 35-point differential. The running clock comes into effect, and credit the sack.
22, that is number 22, Donovan Knight with the Mustang sack.
The linebacker
takes the ball back to the 23-yard line of Knight's territory for a loss of 7 and brings up 2nd and 17.
That's Knight's first sack of the season. So once again, Wakaiva, albeit a long shot, they do still have an opportunity with their 2-5 record of getting into the state playoffs. They would have to win all 3 games, and that still remains to be seen, but certainly they have taken care of the first step with emphasis, building a 26-0 lead. The handoff back to Hernandez, their leading rusher in the first half.
Enrique Hernandez on the carry, gets the ball back to the 25-yard line for a gain of 2. That'll bring up 3rd and 15.
And if you joined us late, pretty much what you just saw has been the night for Eastridge. They've only had maybe 5 plays in which they've gained more than 4 yards. Unfortunately, for Eastridge, it's been a very long season. They come in 0-7, and mentioned at the beginning that they are losing by a margin of 50 points. You can look at Wakaiva and certainly say it's a disappointing season at 2-5, but their margin is 19-18, the score, and things aren't going to get any better for Eastridge on this play as they actually lose a couple more yards. So at least Wakaiva has been competitive, presented a challenge to their opponents.
Ball is spotted at the 20-yard line for a loss of 5 on the play. That brings up 4th and 20 for the Knights. And Neil, I don't know what to offer for advice for them here. Obviously, you don't go for it on 4th and 20 from your own 20-yard line, but at the same time,
you're down 33-0 towards the end of the third quarter.
Right. So yeah, you're
running out 7.
Yeah, you're running out of possessions here. If Wakaiva scores one more time, we'll go into a running clock, and that will be it. High snap, block opportunity, and wisely hanging on to the ball. So good credit there as the punt by number 81, Caden Nicholson, is downed just inside Knights territory at the 46. And that was a heads-up play by Nicholson because that punt was going to be blocked.
Yeah, that's probably, if we had a vote for best play of the night, I would give it to, on that play, and the best player would be Nicholson just because it was, as you said, Mark, heads up, could have been disastrous.
And frankly, took a fair amount of personal risk there by doing that because the longer a kicker holds the ball, the more likely it is that they're going to get walloped. And they're a fairly defenseless player, and But no, he knew just what to do. He let the Wakaiva player dive, and once Wakaiva was on the ground, then he says, okay, now I've got a little 1.5 second window here that I can get a clean kickoff. So the timing and the rhythm was disrupted, but that could have been disaster for the Knights if that punt had been blocked.
It could have been a running clock, score 33-0, so 35 is the margin when the running clock comes into effect, and this is James Brown. And he's going to go down that sideline.
James Brown on the handoff from Tyree Davis, and he's got a Mustang first down.
Yeah, 30-plus yard gain, and you might be able to hear the cheering in the background. There's not booing.
That puts the ball at the 20-yard line, so chalk up 26 yards for James Brown. First and 10 Mustangs.
So another first down for Wakaiva. Now they are 20 yards from pushing that score into running clock territory. Again, Wakaiva came into this game 228 carries, 869 yards, 3.5 yards, and most of those, about 70% of those 228 carries, were Brown and Weathers. And speaking of Weathers, he's going to take the ball, bounce it to the right, and this time he actually gained, I think, about 3 yards.
Terrell Weathers on the carry for the Mustangs. That puts the ball at the 17-yard line for a gain of 3 on the play, and it brings up 2nd and 7 for the Mustangs.
So a couple stop-and-go moves here. Weathers, again, nothing eye-catching, but 3 yards is a solid gain on first down. So Wakaiva coming in looking to up their 2-5 record, get a third victory over the last 4. Certainly built some confidence and momentum late in the season. Davis remains in, the one-back set. Weathers to his right, Dulcima the fullback. And the handoff to actually Hardy, who blasts up the middle and then fumbles.
Jermaine Hardy on the carry, a fumble just before getting into the end zone. And that is picked up by number 54, Josh Graffles.
So a magnificent run until about 1 yard. And then not sure what happened. It's a clear, dry night. The ball should not be wet. And quite frankly, it looked like he dropped that ball because it was wet.
Well, it must have been sweaty. The ball is spotted at the 4-yard line, and the Knights take over from there with 1st and 10.
I feel bad for Hardy on that play. I mean, obviously, you feel bad anytime someone fumbles, but that was such a great run, and he did such a great job of reading his offensive line, and then he didn't get the payoff.
I was looking down during that play, putting in the fumble, but I'm going to assume that was a handoff to Enrique Hernandez because that's the only play we've seen tonight.
And it's actually one of their larger gains, about 5 yards.
Ball is spotted at the 11-yard line for a gain of 7. 2nd and 3 coming up.
Okay, 7 yards. That actually might be their longest gain on a rush. And they stay on the ground.
Looks like that's going to be a first down. They're signaling for the clock to stop.
11 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Wakaiva 33-0. They have led since the third play of the game.
Ball is spotted now at it may be adding yardage. That takes us to the end of the third quarter. And so when we come back, it'll be Eastridge ball deep in their own territory. The Mustangs lead 33-0 with 12 minutes left in the contest. we'd like to recognize our friends at Minuteman Press who are responsible for those posters that you see, the beautiful posters that were made for all of our seniors that were recognized earlier this evening at senior night. We also want to recognize Madison McCall, our Wakaiva yearbook photographer, who took the photos that you see in those posters. So thanks to both of them for making tonight special. And for our senior parents, we want to let you know that on your way out tonight, you absolutely can take those posters with you. So thanks for, again, to Minuteman Press and Madison McCall for making those posters possible. And please feel free to take them with you on your way home.
And so we begin the fourth quarter, 26-0 Wakaiva. They have led since the third play of the game, a 51-yard Davis Torrey touchdown pass. And now they are facing second down, incomplete pass. Wakaiva coming into tonight's game with a 2-5 record against East Ridge, who's 0-7. However, if you look at Wakaiva's record, there is something to be said beneath the surface. They had one really bad games in terms of the score. That was a 49-3 loss to West Orange. And then they had a really good score defeating Ridge Community 53-14 on homecoming. So if you throw out those two, the high and the low, like a lot of Olympic events do in the judging, you come down with average points given up 19, average points scored 18. So even though they're 2-5, only a 1-point differential.
Enrique Hernandez on the carry for a gain of 3 yards. That brings up third and a long 6 for the Knights.
And that is from their own 15. Pressure, Rodriguez gets rid of it and caught.
I think he did.
I saw about 8 of the Knights on the sideline put their hand up to say, yeah, that's a completion.
Damari Patterson on the reception, and it is ruled incomplete. And that will bring up 4th and 6 for the Knights. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a great angle for it, but the officials were staring right at it from point-blank range, so we'll trust that that was the right call.
And so East Ridge will be forced to punt again. They're at their own 20. 33-0 is the score. Wakaiva looking to win his third game over the last 4. A high snap brought down.
Nearly blocked again. Boy, Frosty is aggressive with those tonight.
That's Tamarian
Foster, yes.
Tamarian Foster, the senior safety, number 1.
Caden Nicholson's punt is downed inside Mustang territory at the 43-yard line. Wakaiva takes over from there with 1st and 10.
So Wakaiva right now, really the only question now, actually the only 2 questions, is how much will they win as we're 11 minutes from the end of the game. And do they get into running clock territory on this possession? 33-0 is the score. 35 points is the margin, which establishes the running clock. Chris Reed takes the handoff, runs the sweep down the left hash mark. Some couple of stop-and-go moves and a couple of jukes and jives, and he gets 20-plus. And certainly the start Wakaiva wants to this drive.
Solomon Georges has the handoff to number 2, Christopher Reed. That brings the ball to the 38-yard line of Knights territory for a gain of 19 on the carry. First down, Mustangs. So also to point out, Solomon Georges coming in at quarterback. So now we have a third quarterback in the mix for Wakaiva.
Yeah, Georges, one of only 2 freshmen on the varsity team. So kudos to him, even though he doesn't see a lot of time. Freshmen usually do not play on any varsity team. And the handoff.
Georges on the QB keep, taken down by Ty Lilly after a short gain.
Wakaiva will be on the road against Winter Haven next week. That is a district game. This is also a district game. These two games close out the district season. We've talked about Wakaiva having a 2-5 record. They are 1-1 in District 7A6 action, so they still have a very good shot of at least finishing second in the district.
Although second isn't good enough now, Neil, because of the way that the playoffs work. In order to get into the regional tournament, as the pass intended for Christopher Reed falls incomplete to bring up 3rd and 6, you have to get in as a wild card on points with something called the RPI.
Yeah, if you don't win the district.
And so, again, with a 2-5 record that at best can become 5-5, that really requires help from some of the other teams in the district or in the region.
Yeah, but to that point, though, Mark, I think if they can finish second, that's certainly a building block heading into next season. Again, Wakaiva is a team that, even though they're 2-5, if you throw out the one really bad loss, which was 49-3 against West Orange, and the really good win, 53-14 against Ridge Community, they're only 1 point down in the average margin. 19 points given up, 18 points scored, and certainly last week they showed that they can at least compete, present a challenge for the best in the state, not just locally, but in the state. They were tied with Edgewater 7-7 at halftime. The final score was actually 28-13. And the difference was just simply Wakaiva made the mistakes when they had opportunities to further the strength of the position which they could win from. Just mistakes like, for instance, on the third play of that game against Edgewater, Edgewater fumbled at their own 11. It did stop the Edgewater drive as Hardy takes the snap, bolts up the middle, and Wakaiva is now 20 yards closer to that running clock.
Jermaine Hardy on the carry for the Mustangs. That puts the ball inside the 20-yard line at the 17 for a gain of 17 yards on the play. That's half the distance to the goal, and it brings up 1st and 10 for the Mustangs.
So Wakaiva on that fumble again, talking about Edgewater, third play of the game. It stopped the Edgewater drive, but they didn't recover it. The ball squirted out of bounds. You get that ball at the 11-yard line, you might go into halftime 14-7. So that's really been the difference, is the mistakes as Wakaiva continues to plunge ahead with the rush. Up to the 10 now. 2nd and 1 from the 10.
Jermaine Hardy once again on the carry for the Mustangs. Ball is spotted at the 10-yard line for a gain of 7. 2nd and 3 coming up for Wakaiva. So, yeah, a lot of players that don't see as many touches are getting some stats in the books tonight.
Handoff again. And matriculating down the field, as Hank Stram would say.
Handoff is made to number 19, Jeffrey Townsend. That puts the ball not to the goal line, but to the 1-yard line, and it brings up 1st and goal Mustangs.
Again, Wakaiva, if they score, running clock. 8 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. Against East Ridge, Neil Fisher, Mark Barchi, along with the broadcast production department at Wakaiva. 8 minutes exactly. Georges, the quarterback, taking the snap under center. Handoff to the fullback. Pound, 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 and yes!
The Mustangs are into the end zone for a James Brown touchdown. The Mustangs lead 38-0 with 7 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the game. We'll be using modified timing rules for the remainder of tonight's game. Clock will only stop for timeouts and other extended disruptions of play.
So Brown did not see a lot of action in that first half. A bit of surprise. He is the starter. He ran the ball only 3 times. And he gets rewarded here late in the game with an opportunity to score a touchdown and makes the most of it.
Alejandro Carmona's try is good. The Mustangs extend their lead to 40-0 with 7 minutes and change remaining in the 4th quarter.
So Wakaiva will up its record to 3-5, win its third game out of the last 4. They were moved to 2-1 in District 7A6 action. Again, thank you for joining us on Friday night from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Tonight is senior night, along as well as the man who this very stadium is named after, at least his practice, Dr. Baptiste, was in the booth with us, and then at halftime he presented the Athlete of the Month award. And Wakaiva Nation's going to go home a happy bunch in 6 minutes. As the
kick is
now
fielded by number 4, Timothy Moses. And he returns the ball to the 37-yard line.
Score is now 40-0, 5:53 remaining. Temperatures kicked off. It was about 88 degrees, about 10 degrees cooler now. On a clear night from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium next to State Route 419. And Wakaiva has dominated this game, scoring from the third play, a 51-yard Davis two-read pass, the third of the game. And got an update for you baseball fans out there, the American League Championship Series, Game 6. Of course, Houston looking to close out that series. They have a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the 4th at home. So at this point, Mark, I think if you're Coach Schwartz, your main concern is avoiding injury.
Yeah, certainly. You're probably going to a prevent defense at this point, and
Yeah, part of the running clock rule is that it's running clock once it becomes running clock.
Right, it will never stop being a running clock no matter what happens with the score, as Enrique Hernandez on the carry for the Knights. That takes the ball to the 40-yard line for a gain of 3, and it brings up 2nd and 7. The other thing that's worth noting, Neil, is that we have seen essentially zero production from Eastridge in the air tonight. They are still at the same 4 yards they had at
okay.
halftime.
One completion then.
Yes, I've got them down for 1 of 8 for 4 yards to Eric Anaya. Okay. So that's it. And particularly if you are in a running clock situation, or even if you weren't at this point, when you put the ball on the ground, I mean, unless you just happen to get a breakthrough play, you're not going to get the yardage that you need in order to really make a meaningful dent. A big tackle there. Yeah, number 24, Kadar Karjal gets the tackle on Enrique Hernandez.
Now that was WWE style. He just cradled the ball carrier and slammed him down.
Ball at the 41-yard line for a gain of 1. That brings up 3rd and 6 for the Knights.
Yeah, Cargill, 6 feet, exactly 175. And that is his 44th tackle of the season. Of course, that's total tackles, solo and combined. The other thing, Mark, is Eastridge isn't moving. They're not going no huddle. They're taking their time. So again, Eastridge, it's been a long season. 0-7. They've lost by an average of 50 points. As once again, they try to get something on the ground. And they are a young and inexperienced team, just like Wakaiva. But that situation was further exasperated by replacing coaches about a month before the start of the season. Before the first game, Matt Mendez took over. And we have a timeout down on the field.
Enrique Hernandez on the carry for no gain. That brings up 4th and 6, and the Mustangs call timeout, so that will stop the clock. Give us one more opportunity to thank and congratulate our members of the senior class of 2022 for their contributions to the legacy of our Mustang athletic programs. They will become alumni at the end of this year, so that means class president Keyshawn Johnson, that means you're going to be responsible for arranging the reunion and also getting everybody back here for homecoming next year. Again, we want to thank our friends at Minuteman Press and Madison McCall for providing those posters. Those of you here in the stadium, if you are a family member of one of those seniors, please make sure that you take those posters with you on your way out tonight. You are welcome to enjoy those as our gift, courtesy of Minuteman Press.
And with that said, and 3:39 remaining, the teams take the field again. Neil Fisher alongside Mark Barchi, who, as you just heard, also handles the public address announcing. He also emceed the senior night ceremonies and the presentation of the Athlete of the Month, Dr. Baptiste, our local orthodontic. That's actually his award.
There's the punt by Nicholson. And again, to your point, Neil, Nicholson is, kind of your team MVP tonight. He's had some pretty good-looking punts, frankly, and again,
he's avoided near disaster.
Yeah, a lot of situational awareness coming from him. Nicholson on the punt, the ball spotted out of bounds.
So 3 minutes remaining. Wakaiva up 40-0. If you're new to Florida high school football, it is a running clock situation. 35 or more establishes that running clock. So we'll probably see maybe 3 more plays. I would be very, very surprised if Coach Schwartz calls any type of passing. I see James Brown is now lined up, and he's actually going to play quarterback. So we might actually see some quarterback draws. Nope, Frosty to Marion Foster. Gets the ball, and he's off to the races. The 40, the 30, 21 man to beat. He does.
To Marion Foster into the end zone for a 42-yard Mustang touchdown.
And again, running clock, so that clock does not stop.
Well, that's just the icing on the cake. Frosty has had a great season the whole time.
He's had a great
He's going to probably play college ball. This will be his last game at home, most likely. And he, of course, was the Athlete of the Month recognized at halftime. And what a way for him to end the season, at least the home season.
Yeah, so Jorge Carmona comes in as we're now under 2 minutes. He will attempt the PAT to make the score 47-0. And he does.
There it is. The PAT is good from Carmona.
That took a long time for the ref to signal good.
And that makes it a 47-0 ball game with under a minute and a half to play. So Foster caps off what's been a as good as possible night for the Wakaiva Mustangs. 58-yard touchdown run. Of course, Foster is a safety, normally on defense, but Coach Schwartz put him in. And James Brown, who's normally the running back, played quarterback, handing the ball off. And so we will probably get one more play, the kickoff. And Wakaiva will up its record to 3-5 with a convincing 47-0 victory. Unfortunately for Eastridge, a long season will get a little bit longer as the onside is attempted. Number 19, Jeffrey Townsend comes up with the onside kick recovery. I'm honestly not sure what the play was there.
So Eastridge will fall to 0-8, and actually, I believe this is their second.
And Wakaiva takes a timeout. Okay. So Neil, I'm
not sure what the point of that is.
I'm struggling here. The game is decided, and so you kick an onside kick leading 47-0 and then call a timeout to stop the clock.
Well, the only thing I can think of is maybe Coach Schwartz wants to get some of the players who haven't seen any action.
Yeah, get some stats in the book for them, but I mean, at what cost?
I don't know Coach Schwartz to be the kind of guy who's looking to run the score up. But nonetheless, Eastridge will fall to 0-8. This will actually be their second closest loss of the season. Our head ref, well, that will do it. We will not get one more play. Our head ref, Nick Peterson, signaled to start the clock, but that play will not go off. as the last 3 seconds tick off. And now the game is official. Wakaiva 3-5, 47-0 over Eastridge.
That takes us to the end of the ball game. It's a 47-0 score on senior night here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Once again, we want to congratulate the class of 2022, particularly our band, color guard, cheerleading squad, athletic training team members, and JROTC, as well as, of course, our football players, our class of 2022, participating in their final regular season home contest tonight. And this also concludes season 15 of Mustang football here at home. We want to send a special thank you to those of you who came out and joined us tonight here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Also, thanks to those of you who joined us online on YouTube or the NFHS network.
So as we say goodbye from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, quick reminder, next week Wakaiva is at Winter Haven, and they close out the season against Apopka. And once again, for the final word, Mark Barchi, take us home.
Special thanks to Keith Dickerson and his program at Wakaiva TV Broadcast Production, bringing you tonight's game, and all season long we'll be back for lots more live coverage in basketball and soccer season, and then getting into the spring sports that we host on campus here as well. For Wakaiva Athletics, we want to again extend our welcome to Brian Bruce in his first season here at Wakaiva. And for Neil Fisher, my name is Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs and Sports Information Director here at Wakaiva High School, wishing you a good night and a great weekend. This has been a presentation of Wakaiva High School Athletics in association with Orange Technical College, both a proud part of Orange County Public Schools. We'll have live updates, not by live stream, but by Twitter, next week at Winter Haven, and then to wrap up the season at Apopka, and then we will see you in basketball season. Preseason Classic will be here before you know it, and we'll be carrying that for you as well. It's the end of season 15, though, for football, and it has been our pleasure. Good night from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium.